This list was hard.
Hey guys, welcome back to Listography. Back again with Ryan and Joe. Still talking about some Van Halen today. We're going to get into our favorite Eddie Van Halen guitar solos of all time. We're going to do 5 each, kind of rapid fire like we did with the songs. Joe, you going to start us off again?
Yeah, I can start off. We'll jump right into it. My number 5 is "And the Cradle Will Rock." I don't love this song that much. I like the song. I think it's one of those ones you hear on the radio. But I think the solo is really underappreciated in his repertoire. And you kind of hear pieces of it, I think, in a lot of other guitarists later in the 80s. It just got a really interesting sound to it. It kind of is in 2 parts. David Lee Roth has a little interjection in it, but it's not too over the top. Number 4, Ice Cream Man. His solos just really kind of harkens back to maybe the 50s, but in a completely modern sound. The whole song kind of has that vibe to it. And I think it really works. I think it's his best solo on the first album, not including Eruption. Number 3 is All Wait. It's very different. It's very moody, fits with the song without it it doesn't overtake the song. It doesn't outshine the song. It just fits really well within the context of the song. And it fits the mood that I think the song is trying to convey.
I agree with what you're saying with Al Wait, and I think he does that entirely on 1984, especially compared to other albums. I think the solo work is really just fitting and concentrated.
Mm-hmm. Number 2 is Dreams. Eddie has 2 nice solos on that. They're not like super over the top. They kind of just fit. It's really shows off his kind of, technique, his style. I mean, it's just not so over the top. It's not a bunch of harmonics. It's just kind of clean, very Sammy Hagar era playing. Number 1's Eruption. I'm sure when people first heard it, it just completely blew their mind with the tapping. And it's basically one solo, the whole song, but I think it counts. That tapping part really blew my mind, and I heard it in like 1999 or something like that, 2000. I'd never really heard anything like that, and that's it. That's my list.
Very, very nice. I think Dreams, both having 2 guitar solos, both of them are a little over the top, but I do see what you're saying. Coming up with this list was hard, and I don't want to, obviously he's a great guitar soloist, but I might think that he's an even better, lick and riff player than he is guitar. I can't imagine coming up with like a riff list, like what his best moments is with guitar licks and riffs. That would be even harder. But for me, the guitar solos that stand out are going to be the ones that are a little more unique and distinctive. My number 5 is actually Jump. Obviously, the synth is the thing that comes to mind first, but the guitar solo on here is really good, and a nice little asterisk to it because it outros into his own keyboard solo. So he's got back-to-back solos, but the guitar work is really good. Number 4, one of the ones we share, Joe, I'll Wait. He doesn't have another solo like this. Like you said, it's totally meant for the song. He's not showing off. It's a lot more understated and subtle, and it plays to the mood of the song, which is why I like it. Number 3 is Beat It. We forget that he is on Beat It, but it's one of the most popular songs of all time, and it has a fantastic guitar solo in it. There's a little bit of every part of Eddie Van Halen in the solo. I absolutely love it. Number 2, I'm the One. The whole thing at time kind of feels like a big guitar solo, but the solo in particular is just this really awesome controlled chaos in a tight space, so sharp and stinging but fun at the same time. And my number 1 is also Eruption. I kind of debated whether or not to include this because the whole thing is just kind of a big instrumental, kind of a big long solo, and then I kind of thought, are we going to put in 316 and Spanish Fly with all this? But I can't ignore just how good of a guitar piece this is. And like I think we all kind of agreed on, probably should have opened Van Halen as a band and as an album.
I kind of forgot that Beat It was a I thought about it, but I didn't consider it for this list because I thought it was just from Van Halen albums. But
I did go further back, and I checked with Grandmaster Jason to see if it would be all right. So
okay, well, that may have made my list then, if we included that. That's probably his best like show off solo that he does, other than Eruption.
All right, my list. I don't know how you guys compiled yours. I'm guessing from the sounds of it that you just sort of paid attention as you listened to the discography and made notes as you went along. I should have done that and didn't. After listening to all 12 albums consecutively, I went back and skipped to the guitar solo in every single song and went back and forth. And by the end of doing that and listening to just like these flurry of notes over and over again and skipping back and forth, I couldn't tell them apart or like know what was going on anymore or remember which song was which. So for me, the ones that ended up standing out the most were the ones that had kind of the most interesting things happening behind them with like interesting rhythms that he locked into then. So maybe a little bit of a different list. 5 for me is going to be from Fair Warning, the lead-off track, Mean Streets. Like I said, the band's going in a little different direction on this album, and because of the sort of different rhythms that they're playing with, I think his solos really stand out on this record. Number 4, Ice Cream Man. I think same thing. It's got a different vibe than the rest of Van Halen 1, and it makes that solo sort of live in its own unique kind of space. Number 3 for me from Van Halen 2, I have the solo from Out of Love Again, which is a really cool song. Kind of has those like Kiss-esque backing vocals, and the solo on it's great. Number 2,
I can't think of the solo off the top of my head. So
Yeah, I can.
and it didn't make my list. So
Number 2, a song we talked about a little bit in the Ranking the Records video, from Diver Down, the solo from Secrets, which is excellent. And going back to Fair Warning for the solo from Push Comes to Shove at number 1. Just kind of like a funky, stonesy kind of song. Not the best song on the record, but the solo is fantastic.
I do remember the solo, but I don't like that song. And it seems like we're all in agreement that Secrets is one of their most underrated songs, if not the most. It's really good.
It was like
Stand out to me that much.
just outside of my top 10 songs.
Same here.
Same, yeah.
Would you agree with he might be a better riff writer than soloist? Because I do kind of think a lot of his solos kind of lump together, like they're a little interchangeable.
Especially when you listen to them consecutively.
Yeah, don't do that again. That had to have been tough.
But yeah,
doing this list, going back through, didn't quite go as far as Jason and like, go to the solo in every song and just listen to that. But I'm struck by like on Van Halen, his solos, they're like 10, 15 seconds. They're pretty short. And then when you listen to, the Hagar era, he really expands on them. But his solos in the first couple albums are, they're almost like little moods. They're not quite, when people think of guitar solo, it's not really the 80s hair metal, hard rock, power ballad type of guitar solo.
True.
I do want to say, I want to give a quick honorable mention to the guitar solo from Feelin' from Balance. Joe, in that other video, you said there's no good solos on Balance, and that is one you should listen to.
I'll have to revisit Balance, I guess.
No. You said you were not revisiting it.
Okay.
I put it at
really,
number 2.
I don't feel like I'm going to miss out if I don't.
Well, you are, so.
I'll just listen to the solo. What's the time stamp? Send it to me.
I don't know the timestamp, but it's the last song on the record. It's about halfway through.
You'll find it, Joe.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you get the notifications. Hopefully going to have a couple videos a week coming up for you, at least for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching.